Arnold Palmer. This episode is all about Arnie. We've got some wonderful stories, a personal interaction that I had with him that is going to tickle you. But this is also a story about humanity, agony, ecstasy, and Arnold Palmer, who may not be the greatest golfer of all time, though he's in the conversation, but certainly has had the most impact and is the most beloved. Arnie and Oakmont. What a story. So let's get started. Arnold Palmer's life story and the golf course called Oakmont, those two are just linked together in a way that touches our humanity. Arnie grew up in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, just a short distance outside Pittsburgh and a half hour, a little bit more, from Oakmont Country Club, which he dearly loved, which he played many, many times. And in fact, he played the U.S. Open at Oakmont in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So he played multiple times. Did he ever win at Oakmont? No. Did he have a chance to win at Oakmont? Oh, yes. And thus begins our story. In 1962, there was only one king. Well, there were two. There was Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and there was Arnold Palmer, the king of the sports world, certainly the king of golf. In 1962, he had already won the Masters. He was the fastest one to ever get to $100,000. He had won previous year the British Open. He had won the Masters in 58 and 60 and 62. He was the king, broad-shouldered, powerfully built, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Well, he couldn't quite do that, but he could drive a golf ball out of sight. There was also a chubby guy from nearby Ohio and Ohio State whose name was Jack Nicklaus. He was called derisively Fat Jack because he was pretty plump in those days, and he wore this crew cut and a pork pie hat. And Arnie, Arnie swaggered on the golf course and attacked the golf course with a swashbuckling attitude, just like you and I would want to do, wouldn't we? Nicklaus was implacable. He just kind of went steady toward his goal. He had played with Palmer, and in the final round of the United States Open, Palmer has the lead in 1962. Now, Nicklaus was nobody. He was a rookie, and Palmer was the king of the world. And this guy, Jack, who had won $33 in his first pro tournament on the PGA Tour, somehow had the audacity to hang in there with Palmer. And then Palmer had a lead, had missed a crucial putt, so they have to have a playoff. They're tied. They have a playoff. Now, this is Oakmont. All the fans there are steel workers. They're the regular guys, and Palmer was their hero. That's why they were yelling the things at Jack Nicklaus. Palmer, to his credit, always tried to quiet the crowd. But there came the playoff the next day. Now, remember, the U.S. Open doesn't have a sudden death playoff. You play another 18 holes, and it's the next day. And on the playoff day, well, it wasn't close. Nicklaus wins. Palmer said that was one of the hardest losses of his life. It pained him to let all his fans down. There were other people playing on the golf course, other great golfers, but everybody just wanted to watch Arnie. And he lost.
Here's how Jack recalls it.
I remember, you build up in your own mind what a monster Oakmont is. But 11 years and a lot of time has passed, and of course it was my first major championship. I'd been close in several championships, my first, and then of course coming in and playing Arnold in the playoff and winning the way I did. I remember starting off, I can't remember if it was in the playoff or the first round of the tournament. I started off with 3 birdies, and it was like, you know, I got really charged and rolling, and the putting that I did here was good. I only 3-putted once. I didn't make a lot of putts, but I didn't miss many.
11 years later, he's back at Oakmont. This time, Jack Nicklaus is the king of golf, but Arnie still had a little bit of fire, a little bit left, and sure enough, he fights and he battles, and after 54 holes, he's leading. He's tied for the lead, along with Julie Boros, a couple others. Meanwhile, lurking way 6 shots behind in 12th place is a tall blonde guy who found a miracle on the practice tee. He opened his hips a little bit and voila, Johnny Miller shoots the most incredible final round and robs Arnold Palmer of another victory, a one that he wanted so desperately to win. Miller birdies 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 11, 12, 13, and 15. He shoots that final round 63, the lowest ever. And Palmer is on the 11th tee. He's playing with John Schlee, and he's got a 2-stroke lead over Schlee, but he looks at the scoreboard and he's trailing Miller. What did Miller shoot? Said Palmer. Nothing? Well, it's pretty close to the truth. Miller won, Palmer lost. But there's 2 more stories about Palmer and Oakmont. Thank you for watching, and if you like what we're doing and what we're saying and our instruction, please subscribe. Also, you might want to leave a comment about your favorite Arnold Palmer memory. Now let's fast forward to 1983. 11 years later, Arnold Palmer is no longer the king. He's really no longer a factor on the tour. He's in his 50s, but he's still so beloved, and this is Oakmont, his backyard, and he really wants to do well for his thousands and thousands of fans. By now, he's a businessman, a pilot. In fact, he flew his own helicopter from Latrobe Country Club into Oakmont and would get out and play his practice round, then get in the helicopter and go back. He had started to work on his fitness and was running a little bit. I was covering the Open there and was good friends with Arnie, so I asked him, I said, Arnie, I know you're running every day. How about if we come and get some video of your running workout? He says, fine. He says, but you got to be here early at Latrobe. He says, I'm out of the house at 6 o'clock and running. Okay, we'll do that. So took the camera crew. I was at that time working for a cable news network called CNN, and the sports was big at CNN. We get there, and sure enough, we video Arnie running, and then Arnie shows us his workshop. Oh, what a great place that was. It's actually his office building. He had his pilots that worked for him. They had offices there. Arnie had this gigantic office, but he also had his workshop with barrels full of clubs that he liked to tinker with, and a picture hanging sideways over here with President Eisenhower, and another one, the hero with the Emperor of Japan, and just, I mean, it was a guy's workshop. What a great place it was. I want to tell you this too. Arnie had just started his golf company, and he had a new driver. It was called the Palmer Peerless. It had just come out. Everybody was talking about the Palmer Peerless driver. So after we'd done these interviews and gone through his workshop, and Arnie's in a good mood, and he says, Bob, he says, come on here in the office. He says, I got something I want to give you. Wow, you know what I knew. Arnie was going to give me a Palmer Peerless. I already projected ahead. Man, I could just see it. Oh, that'd be so good. I'll talk to my friends, and they'll say, hey, that's a nice driver. You got an Arnold Palmer, a Palmer Peerless. I go, yeah. Arnie gave it to me. Personally, didn't get a Palmer Peerless. Arnie reaches into his drawer and pulls out these collar clips that had his emblem. If you remember, it was an umbrella. And he says, here, he says, give them to the guys, give them to the crew. They'll enjoy. Take a couple for yourself. Gosh, thanks, Arnie. Well, that disappointment I had doesn't even compare to the disappointment that he had at Oakmont. But he's got one more visit and one more Open in the 90s. He did well in the '83 Open, won by Larry Nelson with the greatest putt ever made. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But he made the cut. He wanted to make the cut, and he worked hard. And yes, he did make the cut and beat a lot of other golfers like Ben Crenshaw and others. So he showed that he still could rise to the occasion and give his fans a lot of applause. But that kind of was his last hurrah. And then came 1994. There have been a lot of great moments at Oakmont. A lot of great champions. I mean, Bobby Jones won a U.S. Amateur there. You got Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus. Just go on and on about the greatness at Oakmont. But there was never a moment that was more human, more poignant than Arnold Palmer's press conference after he plays his final round of golf at Oakmont in a U.S. Open. He knows it's the end of everything. So touching. Watch.
Arnold Palmer, describe for me your thoughts walking up that last 150 yards to the 18th green.
That was pretty tough. You know, you've played out here as long as I have.
Oh.
Just have to compose myself.
You don't have to compose yourself for anybody, Arnold.
Well, Mark, it's you know, it's been 40 years, and when you walk up the 18th and you get an ovation like that, I guess that says it all.
For every golfer in the entire world, Arnold, I want to thank you.
I knew Arnold Palmer really, really well. In fact, when I retired from broadcasting, I only got 2 letters, despite having been around the tour for 25 years. One was from Larry Nelson. The other was a wonderful letter from Arnold Palmer. I've got it framed. It's in my office. He's quite a man. And Oakmont was quite a place for him. Even though he never won at Oakmont, he touched us deeply. He was amazing, an amazing man. And may your golf and your life also be amazing.